I think I'll keep this relatively short because I think we've seen many of the aspects already in the previous presentation. So I will focus on some additional aspects that have come up in the Annex 2 and 3 specification in relation to WISE and the water domain in general, and talk a bit about the process and how we have interacted with the WISE community. There are a number of directives that are under the framework of WISE. I've listed them here, and I hope we haven't forgotten anything. And we can say that each of that many inspired themes actually relate to each of these directives. So just to give you a few examples, we have had a discussion between at least 3 working groups for the clarification of the sea-land interface between the sea regions group, the elevation group, and the land cover group to discuss on how to deal with the shoreline. And the outcome of that was basically to allow different definitions of shoreline based on different definitions of sea level, basically, and also definition of an intertidal area. And to have the coastline specified as one specific type of shoreline, that is the shoreline at mean high water. Then we have had some discussions about the seabed cover, so what to do with that, and that is being dealt with in the land cover theme. We've discussed about sea use in the land use theme, which is related to the impact of human pressure on the seabed, as discussed in the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. In geology, the group has dealt with seabed sediments, as well as the groundwater bodies that are relevant for the Water Framework Directive. We have had some discussions also, again, cross-theme on the definition of exclusive economic zones, and the final decision here was to move that back into the Annex 1 administrative unit theme, or to say to make an addition to the administrative unit theme in Annex 1 that should deal with exclusive economic zones. And we have currently a proposal under discussion that elaborates that addition to the data model to cover the EEZs. Other themes that are also related are production and industrial facilities, and I'll show a nice diagram that I might have to ask Angel to explain in more detail. Of course, we had species distribution, habitats, and biotypes also related to the aquatic habitats. One thing that we've been struggling with a little bit in the theme on area management were some types and classes that we have inherited, let's say, from the Annex 1 theme of hydrography, so-called candidate types that they have proposed as to be included in the AM theme in Annex 3. And those were related to the Water Framework Directive, let's say management areas, and also reporting units. We have 2 types now in the AM application schema that are covered by 2 types of zones in the code list of zone types. One is the River Basin District, which is the main unit discussed in the Water Framework Directive, and then we also have the water bodies to be used for the Water Framework Directive. And as I said, these can play the role of reporting units for Water Framework Directive reporting. The current proposal that has been discussed between the thematic working groups on AM, on environmental monitoring facilities, and geology, of course. I will present in a second, and basically what we have proposed here is to be seen as a proposal for further discussion with the relevant WFD and WISE working groups that we will see if that fits their requirements. And the proposal is basically to see WFD water body types as just one thematic extension of the AM theme, as there may be many other thematic extensions, and therefore to remove them from the implementing rule for interoperability of spatial data sets and services, so for the Inspire implementing rule, because they are just one specific example. And in line with the, let's say, the simplification measures that we've taken, now we have basically decided to keep on the core models and not to include specific examples, like also not the NUTS data set in statistical units. And to include these only as domain-specific examples in either the data specification on area management or on relevant WFG or WISE guidelines. And the proposal is this. It's probably a bit small to read, but on the left hand you can see the previous proposal that was done by the Annex 1 Hydro group. And on the right hand you can see the proposal that we're currently discussing between the Annex 2 and 3 working groups. And basically what we've decided to do is to give the Water Framework Directive water body a new parent type, which is an AM management area. Because it has been felt that basically they are, as they are defined in the WFG, they are an area for the management of the water quality. And then basically we have a number of attributes that we had in the Annex 1 proposal. We have mapped to let's say, similar or the same attributes in the Annex, in the current proposal. So we've tried to keep all the attributes that have been defined previously and move them to the new structure. And then we have a number of specific water bodies, groundwater bodies or surface water bodies, and these have relationships to the physical water bodies that are defined in the hydrography and in the geology theme. So basically we're trying to distinguish between those water bodies that are delineated and defined by physical characteristics and those that are defined for management and reporting purposes in the Water Framework Directive. This is just to recap on the example of how wastewater emissions and water treatment directive are being treated in the Inspire data models. You can see that you have water treatment plants which are covered under the theme of utilities and governmental services, and also under production and industrial facilities. And you have here a number, and they're called environmental management facility in these models. We have some collection and supply networks that have play a role here, and they are covered in the utility networks in the utility and governmental services theme. Again, we have industrial wastewater, which are covered under the production and industrial facilities theme. And then we have urban agglomerations here as well under AM, that is probably. So you can see that for a number of thematic reporting obligations related to water, there are a number of different themes that play a role in this picture. So much for the content part. On the process, we have started a collaboration with the WISE technical group already in Annex 1 between the working group on hydrography and the WISE technical group, and there was a joint paper that was produced between these two working groups, and it has also been presented to the water directors. There's also some expert participation in the Inspire thematic working groups that have experience also on the work on WISE, actually in several of the groups. Vice versa, we have participated in a number of meetings on the technical working group, but also on the WISE steering group. And as Wanda mentioned before, also we have been quite active in the meetings of the DIKE working group. And this is just, as we said before, it's just the start of the collaboration that we will need to maintain in the future in order to make sure that the two streams, Inspire and the reporting and the domain-specific information systems, actually go hand in hand. I want to close with some notions from the WISE implementation plan, where there is a clearer link between WISE and Inspire mentioned, and I picked out the section on the data models, where it stated that it still needs some clarification maybe on the relationships between WISE and the Inspire spatial data themes. And as you've seen, it's not always straightforward to see which of the themes are actually relevant for which kind of reporting or which kind of area. So I think we still need to do some work to do like a cross-mapping of these different systems or infrastructures, as you want to say. What we've already seen is that there has been some active involvement of WISE in the Inspire implementing rule development and the data specification development by providing reference material, comments, but also experts, and vice versa, to exchange views by participation in meetings. And then finally, as also already pointed out by Daya, I think it's important that we keep in mind the roadmaps. I think that is one recurring issue that we need to be aware of, to be sure to know what the roadmaps of the different initiatives and legal development is, and how we can get them to match each other. And that's it from our side on the WISE 2. Thank you very much.